Now he's going to be able to land the command center and keep on mining again. However, it looks like he's going to take out these rocks and prepare to try to create a contain that I was talking about at the beginning of this map, in which you can get some siege tanks in Xel'Naga Caverns. And as I can tell you from Terran versus Terran experience, siege tanks and Marines on top of a Xel'Naga watchtower are almost impossible to dislodge. It's really difficult because normally the only way to dislodge siege tanks is either to have massive weight of numbers, and look at those tanks blasting each other apart. And that siege tank's wasting a shot on the Marines. Oh, actually, they're out of range from each other. I was going to say they should be firing at each other, but they're out of range. But as I was saying, the siege tank lines, you should probably bring an SCV to repair this, can only be dislodged usually through vision creep, in which you use Vikings to spot, because siege tanks can see two shorter, rather, I guess I would say, than they can fire. So if you can spot for your siege tank, you can put them right here on the edge, and then be able to fire, and then slowly creep forward, and then they have to waste their scans if they don't have any Vikings, or, you know, somehow get a building over there or something to be able to spot for their siege tanks. Now if you have a Xel'Naga watchtower, on the other hand, then you're able to see for the entire length of the siege tank, and much farther, because the Xel'Naga watchtowers actually have a range of 20. He can see, if you look at his vision, he can see all the way up to the edge of these rocks right here, which is an extremely long vision range, and it means that there's nothing's going to be able to get close to his siege tanks. In this case, weight of numbers might be able to prevail for Select. Well, not quite at this point. He's going to take out these auto turrets. Not the biggest deal in the world. It only costs energy on the part of the Raven. However, this Raven has proven its worth, although I do wonder why he chose to get a Raven instead of, say, another Banshee. And that siege tank's about to be taken out. And he needs to be firing at the other siege tank, not at the turret. And yes, he is in fact going to be able to keep on hold of this position. I wonder where the reinforcements are. Thorzain really needs to move these reinforcements up right away in order to be able to reinforce this position. He doesn't want to lose control of this watchtower, because it's going to be very difficult to retake if he does in fact do that. Oop, we saw a little bit of a drop there. Sorry, I missed the details of it, but it looks like it was cleaned up with actually a decent amount of harvester losses, although his harvesters were already shorted to begin with, so it's possible I missed an important loss. But it's also possible that... Alright, well, we'll see his... I'm just going to go ahead and end that thought. Because that's the way I am. I just change subject on a dime. Thorzain's reinforcing now with 2 siege tanks is going to make this line even more difficult to break, and what this is going to allow him to do is hopefully be able to expand to farther positions. Because once he keeps his opponent locked in step, I know he's got 2 Marines dropped, we're going to have to keep an eye on those medevacs. And actually, if Select spots this, he should definitely move a Banshee into here. I don't know if he has a Banshee. No, Select does not have a Banshee. The medevacs are moving in now. If he had a Banshee, though, I was going to say he could take out those siege tanks while the Marines are all gone, but he just reinforced with Marines. And actually, those Vikings are going to turn those back and probably get some Marine kills. Yep, he's going to knock out about 5 Marines, I think it was, left in that medevac on top of the medevac itself. That's 350 minerals and 100 gas that just went down the toilet with no damage done. He's going to stem a Marine to make sure that there's no forces being put up there and no expansion. He just wants to make sure that he's not being snuck up upon. Meanwhile, he has an expansion of his own right here, which I'm guessing he's going to fly to this expansion right here, as it's the one that's farther away from. It's the one that's farther away from Select. And we see just a little bit of lag here. Hopefully, it's going to move out of it soon. Evidently, my computer's not liking me right now, and we're back. So we see he's going to take out the rocks here. Actually, it's possible he's going to just try to take the gold. He feels strong enough and is contained here with this Xel'Naga watchtower in the strong position. And actually, as you can see, units can't get above up here. And if they move down here, they're going to be intercepted by Marines. And when the Marines try to move forward to fight the siege tanks, they're just going to be taken out. Now, it looks like... Nope, Select is just kind of jockeying for position. He wants to make sure he doesn't lose any more ground. He's in vision right now. But he has his own Vikings to spot, which means it's about relatively even match. But an even match in a Terran versus Terran, in terms of vision, if it's even in terms of vision, then it gives defense. It gives an advantage to the defender, because the defender's siege tanks are in place, whereas the attacker's ones need to move forward and then siege up, all of which takes time and takes damage. And so right now they're both just trying to stake positions. He's using... Select is going to use his Vikings to be able to stake his positions to make sure that no siege tanks move up within range, and of course the Xel'Naga Watchers are stopping that on Thorzain as well. And look at that siege tank moved in too close. It's going to get 2 shots off, but that's not going to be enough. It's going to be taken out. And the sensor tower is going to keep an even better eye on his movements. We see the Vikings right here just patrolling for medevacs, making sure that Select's not going to get dropped. He wants to make sure he doesn't take any more damage. He's already down by 40 supply, which is a huge amount, and he's down in expansion. More importantly, a gold expansion, which is extremely valuable, especially in a Terran versus Terran, because Terran players can drop mules on gold expansions, and they get the extra 40% of minerals that SCVs get, but it's for the mule. And so the mule, which is already a big economic force, is going to give even bigger economic force, and those Marines aren't going to do much. Possibly... Nope, just checking to make sure nothing's going on. Want to make sure nothing fishy's going on. We also see a planetary fortress here. Those used to be relatively unliked by Terran players. People didn't like the use of a planetary fortress because you can't lift it against siege tanks, and he's moving in for the attack, so we're going to put that thought on hold. He's going to siege up here. He's going to take out that siege tank, slowly inching forward. We see, though, that... Nope. And actually, we have a line of all the red siege tanks. Is he going to move forward even again? Nope, he's just creeping around the side. He wants to make sure that he maintains positioning as he slowly moves forward. And look, he's able to take out that siege tank. The goal of Thorzain now should be preventing Select from creeping anywhere farther forward. He can already take out one of the refineries. He's not quite in range of... And actually, yep, we have a siege tank up here. That's going to help that. And the Marines are going to move in. They're going to deal a lot of damage. They're going to deal enough damage. They're going to be blasted apart by the siege tanks. If the siege tanks siege, the Marines are going to be taken out on blue side. And it looks like... Yes, he is going to in fact clean up most of the army. He's going to maintain the... Oh, probably should be a little more careful with those Marines getting blasted apart. However, he does have 9 siege tanks here, including one with 2 hit points, which still probably should be repaired. But there's a lot of micro going on, so I don't necessarily fault them for all of the action for not properly maintaining all of the units. I mean, it's a very difficult game to play in. Obviously, when I criticize these players, these are some of the best players in the world. It's like comparing Eli Manning, or it's like comparing... I don't like Eli Manning. It's like comparing Peyton Manning with Phillip Rivers as a good example. They're both very good quarterbacks, and we see that finally the Select has decided to give into the game. He lost as a result of the strong containment we see from the Xel'Naga watchtowers. As I said at the beginning of the game, positioning is extremely important, especially on these Xel'Naga watchtowers. It becomes almost impossible to dislodge someone from it, and then once they get an expansion up on you, or in this case he's about to get a second expansion up on Select, Select knew that he was contained. He wasn't going to be able to get out of it. He was trying to hide a command center, but most likely Thorzain was going to be able to see it anyway, and thus we see that Thorzain was able to pull ahead with the victory of the game and of the match. So it was good watching. Thanks for watching, everyone. This is PGL Milncraft, and I'm signing off.